Hey, this is Rhonda Rawlings, News and Community Affairs Director for 107.3 JAMZ and Hot 98.1, and I have the pleasure of sitting here with Mr. David Mitchell, who is the chairman of the Greenville County Democratic Party. How are you?
Doing great today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Now, we are in the midst of a huge election, just months away from the 2012 November general election, and we just want to make sure all our listeners are well informed, know how to register to vote, know your rights as voters. Can we start off with something just very basic? What is the age, the legal age to vote?
Okay, the legal age to vote in the state of South Carolina is age 18. Okay. And individuals who have turned the age before Election Day can register to vote. If you know that you're going to turn 18 before November the 6th, which is the election this year, you can go ahead and start your registration process in October or September of this year. And so you can get your registration card back by Election Day. It takes approximately about 30 days for registration cards to come back. Okay. So if a person's 17 in August, want to put in your mind maybe September, I probably should go register to vote.
Okay. So the key is not wait until the last minute.
Correct.
Just go ahead and be.
Don't wait till you're 18. If you know you're going to be 18 on Election Day, okay, go ahead and pre-register as a 17-year-old, and the Election Commission will understand that. They'll look at your birth certificate to see that your birthday is going to fall before Election Day, and you have an opportunity to vote on Election Day on your first 18th birthday. And of course, certainly we encourage everybody to vote and get registered if they can.
Exactly. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is the procedure for registering to vote? You're already 18. You may be way above 18, but you haven't registered yet. Mm-hmm. What do you need to do?
Well, one of the key things that we look at in the party is making sure, that's one of our key mantras, is to make sure that we get people registered to vote. There are many organizations out there, there are fraternities and sororities that register individuals to vote. There are churches that register individuals to vote. Now, legally, they vote within the organizations, within the churches. You can also go to the Election Commission. Conway Belanger is the Election Commissioner for the County of Greenville, and he will be glad to register you to vote and follow you through that entire process. The only thing you need is, of course, a driver's license and a birth certificate to identify, or your Social Security card to identify, and that is not to do anything with voter ID. It's just the original process that you use in order to register to vote. And they don't ask for that, but it's good to have it. If you know your Social Security number by heart, on the voter registration form, they will ask for your Social Security number, your correct address, a telephone number, and it's a simple one-page form to register to vote.
Now, we do want to talk about a controversial practice, and that is we want the community to know that if you haven't voted in the last 2 elections, your name may be purged from the voter registration list. And what you can do is you can call your local elections commission's office. We have some numbers here for Anderson. You can call 260-4035. For Greenville, 467-7250, and in Spartanburg, you can call 596-2549 and give them your information, and they can go ahead and tell you whether your name is still on the voter registration list, correct?
Correct, that is correct. And one thing I'd like to add to that is that individuals who have been purged, and that means if you didn't vote in 2008 and you didn't vote in the general election of 2010, you will be purged off the rolls. Now, this has been a practice of the South Carolina Election Commission as well as county commissions as well. But the key thing is, if they're in doubt, just consider yourself not registered and re-register. If they call and say, well, we can't find your name or we can't find your voter registration, well, don't debate that. You may have moved, you may have a different phone number and they could not match it up in their system, so they automatically purged you. Go re-register. And again, it follows the same rules as we talked about earlier. Many organizations are registering individuals to vote, but also go to the Elections Commission. The Elections Commission is located on University Ridge in County Square. Okay. And you can call Conway Belanger, the 467-7250 number, and he'll give you directions on how to get there and the process of following. So if you call there and they say, well, we can't find your name, don't assume they're going to find your name later. Go register.
Just re-register.
Exactly, okay. Register to vote.
Now, we gave you the numbers for those 3 counties, but if you want to find out the number for the elections office in your county, log on to www.scvotes.org. You can also find the information by logging on to 1073jams.com and clicking on the Rhonda Rawlings blog. Now, another controversial issue during this voting season has been the voter ID bill. And this bill would require everyone to come when they vote with a picture ID. ID. Why is that so detrimental?
Well, let me start with the voter ID bill. As you know, and as I share with the public who may not know, is that the voter ID bill did pass the State House and in the Senate. But it is in the Justice Department right now, and the U.S. Justice Department has determined that the bill is not constitutional, meaning that the state of South Carolina has to go through what we call pre-clearance. Pre-clearance dates back to 1964. We are a state that had problems in the past as it relates to voting rights and things of that nature. So anything that we pass in the state of South Carolina is automatically reviewed by the Justice Department. The Justice Department reviewed the voter ID bill that was passed this past October in 2011. They determined that that voter ID bill was unconstitutional. It did not fit the pre-clearance model that's set up for the state of South Carolina, so it's on hold. Currently, Nikki Haley, along with the governor of the state of South Carolina, along with the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, are suing the Justice Department as it relates to the voter ID bill. It's not law at this point. It's on hold, which means that we vote the same way we've been voting. Okay, we don't face those limitations. If the Justice Department's ruling is overturned by the federal courts or the Supreme Court, then we come to the point of having to deal with this voter ID law. This voter ID law is going to be impactful to, I believe, seniors who may not have the birth certificate or the Social Security information that they need in order to register to vote. They may not have the transportation to go get driver's license or ID and things of that nature. So that can impact our senior voters. It can also impact our young voters due to the fact that, I thought I was registered, now I have to re-register, now I have all these other limitations that's been put into place. So we truly see in the Democratic Party as this bill as a voter suppression bill. It is a bill designed to, again, continue to purge individuals off the voting rolls, but also make it more difficult for those individuals to re-register to vote.
Now, even though we know the voter ID bill has been turned down, as Mr. Mitchell stated, Governor Nikki Haley is suing the Justice Department because she does want this bill to pass. So we want to encourage everyone to still go out. If you don't have a picture ID, do take the necessary precautions to get one. If you know someone who doesn't have a picture ID and they may be elderly and can't get out, help them to go out and get one as well, because we just don't want anyone to be turned away when you get to the polls.
Correct. And that's going to be a good process to follow. Again, there's another back bill that's been sent back to committee, which is more prevalent than this voter ID bill, and that is the third party voter registration, which we are sending many of these individuals to third parties like the League of Women Voters, fraternities and sororities, or the organizations who register people to vote. Well, in the state of South Carolina, there's a new bill that has just been sent back to committee called the third party voter registration bill, which was designed to make it more difficult for outside organizations or third party organizations to register individuals to vote. So that poses more of a problem than this voter ID bill. It's in committee right now. We think it's dead for this year. I think it's dead for this election cycle, but we're talking about our General Assembly, so you never know when it can come back. But reach out to those organizations, League of Women Voters, fraternities and sororities, the Elections Commission, anyone you know who may be in the business of registering individuals to vote. Reach out to those individuals and see can you get registered to vote through those organizations. And if all that fails, always go to the Elections Commission. That's what they're paid to do. That's what our tax dollars pay for, is for them to register individuals to vote and handle our election process.
Exactly. And as we stated before, we'll have all those numbers up for you on 1073jams.com by clicking on the Rhonda Rawlings blog. We just want to make sure everyone is proactive. If you're not registered, please go out and register to vote. If you don't have a picture ID, although that bill has been turned down, please get a picture ID. We also want our listeners to be informed about the candidates as well. You can find out all this information about the candidates, the numbers to call for the elections commissions by logging on to www.scvotes.org, or as we said before, by logging on to 1073jams.com and clicking on the Rhonda Rawlings blog. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the upstate just to encourage them to get out and vote?
I would definitely like to encourage all people, because the voting, we have a right to vote. And like I say, in 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed. We always, as African Americans, did not have that right. And many people died, and we've heard that story before, time and time again. Many people marched so we can have the right to vote. And I hope people will take advantage of that right to vote. It's just a simple process of becoming registered to vote and being able to identify your elected officials, those individuals who will speak on your behalf in state legislatures, city and county government, as well as our U.S. government, and of course vote for our president.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell, for joining us today.
Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. This is Rhonda Rawlings for 107.3 JAMZ.